Good Friday morning, a feel-good Friday, one of 2 Fridays left before we transition into summer Fridays, and we kick it off down at the Jersey Shore. DJ's Belmar kickoff to summer is just 2 weeks away, which is just amazing as we are watching each and every one of these teams that made it into the playoffs get eliminated one by one. Will we have the Knicks still playing in a couple of weeks when we get to the kickoff to summer? We will see what happens tonight down in Miami in Game 6. But once the Knicks are out, then we're going to have 2 baseball teams that right now are terrible and don't look like they're going to snap out of it anytime soon. Yeah, the Yankees swept the A's. Well, reality hit them last night when they faced Tampa, a team that is head and shoulders above where they are right now. And the Mets continue to lose series to terrible baseball teams. But we've got NFL games to chew on. We'll go win-loss every hour and see how that goes. Jets and Giants and Thanksgiving and Monday night and all that good stuff. It's going to be a great feel-good Friday up until 10. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Good morning, G. I'm doing great. And quite frankly, looking at those outside pictures of the Empire State Building that CBS Sports Network just had on, it looks beautiful outside. So hopefully today will be a great day. And I know yesterday you had a great day. We'll get into that, too, as you were catching striped bass off the Statue of Liberty, which is amazing to me. And you just were catching more fish. And yesterday you had the perfect day for fishing as opposed to, look at that picture of you guys yesterday. That is unbelievable.
Yep. So, and we actually caught more than that. That was just the allotment of fish we were allowed to keep. So I think the boat brought in about 20. And, the Statue of Liberty is in the background there. And because of the way it's jammed into CBS Sports Network, can't totally see it. But the picture I have, you could see the whole thing. Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was the most active day of striped bass fishing I've ever had, and I was looking at the city skyline and looking at the Statue of Liberty. We were just effing them up all day.
Yeah, you know what? You're like a king fisherman. That's what you become, and I'm proud of you for that.
Oh, thank you.
And then there was one, folks, as the Devils fought hard last night. It was a hell of a game. It was a physical game. The Devils laid everything out on the ice, and they lose in overtime to Carolina, and that is excruciating. That is excruciating. So, Devil fans, your team had a great season this year. You're going to be a pain in the ass, I can tell, for years to come.
Look at you taking the high road.
I'm not taking any joy out of any of this. I mean, 4 weeks ago, when we were knee deep in all of this, and now there's one standing, and that is the Knicks,
and they're facing elimination on the road.
Right. Basically, let's face it, in a league where to win on the road, you have to be like a team like Boston. I mean, what Boston did last night was great. I mean, for them and their fans, and they showed what it means to be like a championship team, to have heart and to go on the road and win a game.
Well, especially when your best player gets off to this miserable start that he does. And the first thing that popped into my mind was, if Jalen Brunson has a similar start for the Knicks, there's nobody on this team that's going to pick him up like the Celtics picked up Jason Tatum in that elimination game on the road. So, I mean, it's just that right there. The Celtics have been strange after having a great season last year, but, I mean, that was as impressive as it gets in that situation, especially because Jason Tatum he was ice cold. I was like, this guy, I've never seen him play so bad.
Yeah, it's like an amazing transformation that NBA games have. You and I were texting the other night with the Knicks.
Yeah.
And the first quarter, you're like, it's over. They can't score. And I'm like, man, it's an NBA game, dude. Just relax. Things tend to get close and closer and closer as the game goes on, and certainly the Knicks did turn it on and win. I just hope that they don't have a Game 3 letdown. Like, I don't want them going in there and looking like they did in Game 3 and where they got wiped out and they had no chance. That's
you mean like the Phoenix Suns last night, who get roasted at home in their elimination game to move this thing to 7 games and back to Denver. And basically they were down 30. They lose by 25. And Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and everybody else that they have assembled there just, tail between their legs as Nikola Jokic basically pushes the Suns owner, the entire franchise, down to the ground and steps over him. I mean, my God.
That's the performance. I want the performance that the 2 road teams had last night.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want that performance from the Knicks. And I have to say the Knicks have been road warriors for the most part this year. They've been a good team on the road.
Well.
And they're going to have to and Thibodeau's going to have to be smart. He's going to have to watch the beginning of this game. Don't let it get out of hand. And hopefully, Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett are going to come out and they're going to have good shooting nights. Because if they don't, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long night. And I hope that's not the case. I hope that this team shows exactly what it showed, in Game 5. And in Game 5, it showed that, they were not going to give up. They were not going to give in. And hopefully that will be the case tonight. I believe it will be. I do believe in who they are as a team because they've dealt with this kind of crap all year long. And they've come back and they've won games where we would have never expected them to win. It's a weird thing. Like, they lose games that you never expect them to lose, like Game 1 of this series. And then they come back and they win games where you never expected them to win. And that's been kind of like their kind of reputation throughout this season.
Yeah, and this game, the feel that I have for it, and I did not have the right feel for Game 5 at the Garden. I thought that the Knicks were going to be done, but the feel I have for it is that Jimmy Butler is going to smell blood in the water in this elimination game at home, and he's not going to lose it. I mean, that to me is going to be the biggest thing. We know how the Knicks need to play to win. It's just, are they going to be capable of it in this type of situation against this really tough team that's really well coached, is relentless, and has a superstar on it? And that question is the biggest. What they have. This is how I'll know if the Knicks are going to win. Are they consistently rebounding and out-rebounding Miami and not giving them second chance points? That's a huge one. And how are they doing in relation to the Heat from the three-point line? Because if you're clanging the threes and they're going back down and hitting them like we saw in all these losses, then there's just no shot at all. So it's rebounding, it's three-point shooting, and it's Jalen Brunson being a superstar again. We're just sort of counting on that now. We're sort of just counting on the fact that he's going to be great. So if he ends up not being great, they don't have a shot. But, I mean, it's basically, to me, it almost feels like a given that you're going to get a great game from Jalen Brunson.
I would also like to see Josh Hart, make his presence known tonight.
Yeah.
Because he really did make his presence known at all in Game 5. So I would like to see that tonight. I would like to see the edge that he brings to the team. And, yesterday I kind of got down into a rabbit hole of watching Julius Randle lowlights when it comes to him on defense and how he stands around. Yeah, it was amazing. Somebody put it together. I want to say it was Twitter. I don't know if it was Twitter or Instagram. I don't know what it was.
These guys just blowing right by him, right?
I mean, blowing right by him. Him going the wrong way around the pick.
Yep.
Him not helping out a teammate. I mean, it was like startling.
Oh yeah, he for whatever reason.
I got to watch that more. I mean, I got to be honest. I don't really. I do watch closely, but I can't. When I saw this collection of and this is in this series, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, we brought up two major instances, the Caleb Martin dunk and the first play of Game 5, the first possession for Miami. And both of those were so egregious that you couldn't ignore them. And there's plenty more. I mean, for whatever reason, he gets away with not being a good defensive player. I think because we criticize him on the offensive end so much and we criticize his demeanor when things aren't going well, that sort of flies under the radar. But I don't know. I don't think it's an effort thing. I just think it's the fact that he's not good enough defensively.
I think on defense, he either doesn't read the play right or it is a lack of effort and he's lazy.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but watching, there were about 20 plays back to back of just, if you just watched him and they had the guy had him circled.
Sure.
And you see the way he would try to go around a pick, the way that he would try to defend a pick and roll, the way that he was trying to not box out. I mean, it was startling. And if you're the Knicks and you have to know this.
Sure.
I mean, you're the guys. You're the professionals that look at this every day, and you look at the tape every day.
Mm-hmm.
You see it.
Yep.
I just hope that he somehow, some way finds the energy and the understanding, and I think we're asking for a lot because it doesn't seem like he has a true understanding of what they're trying to do on defense.
Yeah, or maybe it is an effort thing. To me, it doesn't feel like it. I feel like Julius Randle gives almost too much effort, if that makes sense, where he's just trying too hard.
Well, that's on offense.
Yeah, on offense. That's why I think the defensive stuff we don't even think about until someone puts together a vignette or a montage of how bad it is. But this could be the last game that he plays in a Knicks uniform. And I think that if he has a dud game, that most Knicks fans at this point will be over it. I think some will say, oh, great year, made it to the conference semis, you made it to 6 games, and all these things, these little pats on the back and this moral victories that, yes, I think you can sort of say this year because they exceeded expectations. But there's going to be a whole bunch of us, including me and you, that if he throws up a dud game and is one of the main reasons why they lose, that I just don't want to see it anymore.
No, I've been done with him for 2 years.
I just don't want to see it anymore.
They're in the playoffs now, so I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah.
I mean, his actions over the last 2 years have been brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what anybody says. And you can't forget about any of that stuff. So that's why, look, as far as I'm concerned, they should have gotten rid of him before the year. But that's here nor there now. They're in the playoffs. People look at it as double-doubles and all that other stuff, but the liabilities on the other end of the basketball court are just as significant as the positives are on the offensive side of the ball when he's having a good game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And you know what's funny? This guy's on a pretty much, in NBA terms, pretty much a affordable contract. I mean, he did not take max money when the Knicks signed him to an extension. So he's on an affordable contract. He is a star on a team that is still playing in the playoffs in the second round. He is a third-team All-NBA guy. And going into this offseason, I feel like it's going to be impossible to unload him. How is that? If you just take those facts there, you would think, oh, that team's crazy to trade that guy. But if the Knicks try to move him, I feel like there's going to be teams out there like, no way.
It's kind of like a weird thing. It kind of reminds me like of the Melo stuff when he was here. Like you would have always the double-double and you'd always have his 30 points, whatever, but they would lose. Now, I will say that they are winning with Julius Randle, so that's something else that you have to take into account, and you have to throw that in the positive side of the ledger. But the negative side of the ledger is it's just a weird kind of situation how like he's perceived and how most fans watch it.
Yeah, this is so the stats and the watching of the games. There's a lot of times we'll come in here and say, man, look at that. It felt like the Miami Heat had a much better 3-point percentage last night than the Knicks, but really it was closer. And sometimes the stats lie, especially in these NBA playoffs where defense is being played and there's key moments in the game, big shots, a 3-pointer in the first quarter, not as much in the fourth quarter, all these things. But with Julius Randle, we have been watching him for years now. And people will look at what he has done, what he has accomplished, the All-NBA stuff 2 years ago, the fact that he was the best player on that team 2 years ago as a 4 seed, the fact that he was an All-Star this year and a third-team All-NBA guy, the fact that this team is exceeding expectations. They'll look at it from the outside and say, man, without Julius Randle, this team is nothing. He is the straw that stirs the drink. No, he is not. And there have been times that this team has looked the best they have all year offensively, both in the regular season and in the postseason when he is not on the court. So this is a defining moment. Now, I don't know if Leon Rose is thinking the same way we're thinking.
Nobody knows what he's thinking.
I don't think he knows what he's thinking.
Well, nobody knows what they're thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, they just stay in the basement. They don't say anything. They don't talk. They don't do anything. They figure we got a million questions. Let's just not answer them.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's the new thing these days.
Yeah, well, especially
I got a million questions. Just don't answer them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give Gerard Gallant credit before he got fired for standing up there and answering all the questions about the disappointing season, but nobody else did in that organization. And Leon Rose, may do an interview with Mike Breen on MSG and feel comfortable doing that. But I just wonder, will Leon Rose and Scott Perry and all these other guys in the front office, will they pull the Brian Cashman, which is, hey, we made it to the playoffs. Hey, this was a good year. We don't really need to do much else. We're just a little bit away. So let's bring back the same exact team and cross our fingers. Or are the Knicks going to be, using that word that you use all the time when it comes to general managers, will they be ruthless in breaking this thing up? And I don't want to be talking about that on Monday. I want to be talking about a Game 7 on Monday, but just laying it out, this is the type of pressure that should be on Julius Randle if he wants to remain a Knick. That's the way I look at it.
I told you Game 7 going for the Rangers and Devils. I said, this jobs are on the line here.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Right.
And I would say the same thing. I said the same thing about Game 5. I don't feel like so much so Game 6 here, because Game 5, they came out, they played hard. Thibodeau pushed all the right buttons. Two guys playing 48 minutes. They hit some big shots. R.J. Barrett played well. So I think that they calmed that part of it down. I even if they get blown out tonight, I don't think Thibodeau's going. I think he's going to be here. I think he's a solid coach. But some other players could be moved, including Julius Randle, if they can move him. That's the problem.
Yeah, like I said, it would be an attractive player if people just looked at the resume on paper.
Well, I would say he's not going to a team that already has 2 stars on it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not. No team is going to want him in the middle of whoever they perceive to be their 2 stars.
Yeah, I mean, but
like, could you imagine like Sacramento reaching out for him? No. Do you think Phoenix is going to reach out for him? No. I mean, they're not. They're just not, because they're not going to want a guy that sees himself. I believe he sees himself as a
number one option.
Yeah, number one option. And so you're looking for a team that wants a guy like him to be their number one option.
Well, let's put him in a trade as the centerpiece for a Luka Doncic trade, and then Kyrie Irving and Julius Randle can run the Dallas Mavericks into the ground. How's that sound? That'd be perfect.
It sounds great.
He's
It sounds great to us.
That's his hometown too, right? He's a Dallas guy.
Yeah.
So
I mean, remember he was down there.
Yeah.
For those playoff games,
right?
Watching Jalen Brunson,
and they could do the "I'm Coming Home" song for Julius Randle.
It'd be unbelievable.
It'd be perfect, full circle. All right, Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Jerry joins us in a couple of minutes.